Kodak Black is one of the hottest rappers in the game, but he's also one of the most controversial. He's racked up billions of streams over his career, while also being in and out of jail the whole time. From getting shot outside of a Justin Bieber party, to beefing with his own homies and throwing a 100K in the ocean, today, we're breaking down the wild come-up and career of Kodak Black. Kodak came up in Pompano Beach, Florida, and started rapping at a young age. At first, it didn't look like he'd make it in the industry. He jumped off the porch early and started getting in all kinds of trouble. Yak and his homies was always starting fights and breaking into houses. He got kicked out in the 5th grade, and while he was in middle school, he was charged for stealing a car. Even though he already had a foot in the streets, Kodak still wanted to make it in the rap game. In an interview, he said the only options he had were sell drugs with a gun on his hip or rap. While he was in school, Yak would go to the trap house at the end of the day and record tracks. And when he was 12, he linked up with a local hip-hop crew called Brutal Youngins. The Brutal Youngins didn't work out, so Kodak linked up with a crew called the Corleones. He dropped his first project when he was just 16 years old in 2013, and he followed it up with 2 more mixtapes in 2014 and 2015. Kodak was building a buzz in the local scene, but wasn't really popping anywhere else. But all that changed in October 2015 when Drake posted a video of himself dancing to Kodak's track Skirt and featured it on the OVO Beats 1 radio show. Later that month, Kodak signed a deal with Atlantic Records, but it wasn't all good news. Around the same time, Yak got booked on assault, robbery, kidnapping, and false imprisonment charges after he allegedly forced some people into his car because he thought one of them broke into his house. Kodak bonded out, but just 2 months later, he got picked up on drug charges. Then in February 2016, Kodak was arrested again for allegedly raping a woman in South Carolina. He performed at the Treasure City nightclub and brought the woman back to his hotel room where he allegedly raped her and left bite marks on her body. He eventually pled guilty to first-degree assault and battery last year, and as part of his plea deal, the charges were changed so it wouldn't be classified as a sex crime. He was arrested again in April for weapon and drug possession. Then in May, he was booked on open warrants for armed robbery. All the legal issues didn't slow him down though, and in June 2016, Kodak was featured on XXL's freshman class. By August 2016, he had already served 3 months in jail, and then he got hit with a year of house arrest and 5 years of probation. He had another 120 days added from one of his possession cases, and then he went to South Carolina to face sexual battery charges. He bonded out in December, and in February, he popped off even more in the rap game when he dropped the track Tunnel Vision. It was his first time hitting the Billboard Top 10. But later that month, he got booked again for violating his house arrest. Kodak was also facing an assault case for attacking a woman in a Miami nightclub earlier in February, but she decided not to press charges. 1 month later, Kodak dropped his first album and hit number 3 on the Billboard 200. He was pretty much just hopping back and forth between dropping hits and getting locked up, and the trend didn't end there. 2 months after his album dropped, Kodak was sentenced to 364 days in prison for violating his house arrest. He got out after serving 97 days, and he kept it pushing by dropping a sequel to his first mixtape, Project Baby. The rest of 2017 was quiet on the legal side. Fans thought Yak might finally be switching up how he moved and stay out of trouble, but in January 2018, he was booked on some serious charges like weapon possession, child neglect, and more. But by this point, Kodak had made enough money in the rap game to hire legit lawyers, and they were able to get the most serious charges dropped. Kodak was sentenced to another 364 days in jail, but he got out in August and dropped his second album a couple months later. The album's single ZZ with Travis Scott and Offset popped off like crazy, and has almost 1 billion streams on Spotify, which proved Kodak was still one of the biggest artists in the game, even with all the legal trouble. But he didn't get to celebrate for long. In April 2019, he was arrested after border agents caught him with a Glock and some weed. He bonded out on that case, but then a few weeks later, he was booked by the feds on weapons possession charges right after he took the stage at Rollin' Loud. Kodak had allegedly lied about his criminal record while he was trying to buy a gun, and he ended up pleading guilty and was sentenced to 3 years and 10 months in prison. He dropped an album from behind bars, but it seemed like fans were gonna have to wait a while before they got to see Kodak in concert again. But in January 2021, Donald Trump pardoned Kodak's sentence and let him out early. He celebrated by getting back on the grind and dropping new tracks, plus a mixtape called Haitian Boy Kodak in May. And in November, he proved he was still at the top of the game when he dropped the track Super Gremlin and hit number 5 on the Billboard 100 chart. Another weird twist in the story came out while Kodak was locked up. Back in 2019, DJ Academics posted a side-by-side photo with one pic showing Kodak out of jail, and the other half was a recent picture of him behind bars. Fans immediately pointed out how different Kodak looked in the 2 pics. Rumors started flying that Kodak had been cloned, and the government was hiding the real Yak. The theory died down pretty fast, but when Kodak got released in 2021, rumors spread even faster. Kodak came out of prison looking like a totally different person. It looked like he had dropped at least 50 pounds, got new ink on his face, and fans thought even his style was different. The clone idea was a wild theory, but it picked up enough steam that Kodak ended up speaking on it. During an IG Live session, he told fans that all the clone comments were making him angry, and that nobody can duplicate what he does. After his IG rant, most fans dropped the rumor, but what came next was even more wild. Kodak managed to avoid any more legal issues through all of 2021, but in February 2022, he made headlines again after he was shot outside of Justin Bieber's Super Bowl party. It's not clear exactly what went down, but videos show a bunch of people getting into a fight on the street before shots started going off. Yak got hit in the leg, but luckily, he made a full recovery. He was arrested again back in July when the cops found 31 oxycodone pills and over 70 bands in his whip, but his lawyer says the pills are to treat the pain from his gunshot wound. Besides all the legal drama he's been involved in over the years, Kodak has also had a ton of beef in the industry. One of the most surprising situations is with his homie Jackboy. Jackboy and Kodak grew up together, and Kodak signed him to a sniper gang label after he blew up. They started sending shots back and forth last year over how Kodak was handling the label. Jackboy wasn't even being disrespectful at first, but Yak went off on him and put their beef out to the public. Jackboy went on IG Live and said he wasn't gonna diss Kodak.
Nah, that's my brother at the end of the day.
But Yak obviously didn't feel the same way. He went on live and said all kinds of wild stuff about his own homie. Then Kodak took it even further by posting a video of himself throwing $100K in the ocean and flushing money down the toilet just to prove how rich he was to Jackboy. Nobody knew why Kodak went off like that, but then rumors started flying that Yak had actually stolen Jackboy's $500K advance and was charging him $30K per feature. Nobody really knows what happened behind the scenes, but it looks like Jackboy is officially off the label. He started his own label called 1804 Records with Empire, and unfortunately, it looks like his relationship with Kodak might be done for good. Jackboy ain't the only one Kodak has beef with though. Back in 2017, Kodak was cool with NBA Youngboy, and they linked up together for tracks like Water and Chosen One. But later that year, Kodak allegedly took shots at Youngboy on the track Time Never Mattered, where he said, "But I hope that I don't go broke again. I'm killing young babies." Kodak never broke again, you a free agent. Then in 2018, Youngboy's homie Quando Rondo burned Sniper Gang merch on video, so Kodak's crew clapped back and burned a Youngboy shirt. After Kodak got hit with the federal gun case and was locked up, Youngboy shocked fans and dropped the track Letter to Kodak, where he shouted him out and said he missed him. It looked like the beef was over, but in 2020, Kodak accused Youngboy of working with the cops. His ex Ayanna Mayweather stabbed one of his baby mamas, and reports say Youngboy fully cooperated and let the cops investigate. Kodak was still behind bars, but he hopped on IG and wrote, "The hell they mean fully cooperated? LOL. They ain't say a little piece, bitch. They say fully, bitch. Anyways, man, that word ain't even supposed to be attached to your name." Youngboy clapped back on IG Live.
"I ain't never paid attention to a especially from no motherfucking sale.
They started sending shots back and forth, but Youngboy eventually dropped it and said he was moving on from the beef. Everything was cool for a while, and last year, Kodak talked about the situation on the track Dirty K. He rapped, "My little brother Youngboy told me he look up to me. I don't know why, but he be feeling like it's me now. About to call him, trying to see what all the fussing about." After that, both sides were quiet for a year, but back in August, the beef sparked right back up after Kodak dissed Youngboy's fans. He tweeted, "Bruh, I like Youngboy music, it's just his fans, homie, or whoever the behind all this hashtag YB shit." A week later, Youngboy hopped on IG to talk about his new album, and at the end of the post, he wrote, "PS, you don't like my fans, I don't like you. Hashtag TLS." Then in October, Youngboy took another shot at Yak on the track Head Busted and said, "I'm cutthroat, to my op and shirt. I don't with gremlins." Kodak hasn't responded to the diss yet, but it's probably only a matter of time before he does. Yak has had beef with way more artists in the industry like 6ix9ine, 22G's, Lil Wayne, Young M.A., and more, but he's also one of the most charitable rappers in the game. He's given out hundreds of thousands of dollars, handed out food and water, and is always giving back to his community. Kodak has always been proud of his Haitian heritage, and in 2018, he announced that he was building a school in Haiti. He's also donated thousands of dollars to the families of cops who were killed in the line of duty. And after he was pardoned in 2021, Yak donated $150K to charities the first 5 days he was out. Kodak has had a wild career full of success and controversy, and it don't look like that's ever gonna change. He's only 25 years old, but he's made enough headlines to last a lifetime. And while some people criticize him for all the legal trouble and drama he's been involved with, it's hard to find any rapper from his generation who's given more back to the community. He's a crazy dude for sure, and there's no telling what he'll be up to next.